taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and I've got two clips today. The first clip, you'll notice that I am playing with clan members, and we are against clan members as well, yes. So on my team, I've got Never Forgotten in his Cleveland, I've got myself in my Nuremberg, and we've got Migbait in his Oba. Now on the opposite team, in the enemy division over there, we've got Death Scythe in his Cleveland, we've got Orkinis in his Oba, and then we also have Crestwind in his Ognavoy. So this should be an interesting battle. And I'm showing this battle because it was just so great to see the teamwork in and amongst myself, Never Forgotten, and Migbait. It was a really good battle actually, and turned out quite well for the entire team. It wasn't just, that the three of us dominated or anything like that by any means, no. Well, Never Forgotten, I mean, he more or less did dominate, but the team was there, right? So the plan here is basically just to stick together with the cruisers. I mean, there's three of us, so together, basically we are just one big strong pack, well, basically, a division, and, just go out there and help support each other, focus fire on things, and just get stuff gone. That is the biggest concern for us here, obviously. Now, we do want to watch out for the enemy the enemy clanmates, right? Or, well, the clanmates on the enemy team, I should say. They're not enemies. But anyway, we do want to watch out for them because, they obviously know what they're doing. So, more or less, if there's going to be any sort of issues going on here, it's going to be either with the battleships, because we're in cruisers, right? Or it's going to be with our clanmates on the enemy team. So that's our biggest concern here. Now, first of all, on Hotspot, they made changes to Hotspot, which are very welcome, right? We don't have these crazy, I think it used to be like 4 cap points or something way back when, but we don't have that anymore, so 2 bases now, and the other alternative is if there are 3 cap zones running along the center line of the map. So we are going to be going towards A, where A would normally be. We fully expect there to be enemies popping up over here so that we can shoot over at them, right? I can use the range of my Nuremberg to get some shots into people. We've got Never Forgotten here on my port side, so he's going to get in a little closer and try to rain down some shells. And that's what we're attempting to do here in this opening stage. I'm spotted as well, so this is all leading to, yeah, there might be something over there, but surprise, surprise, nothing really does pop up. We had that one enemy cruiser pop up, but that was about it. And so we were kind of confused, didn't really know what was going on. I mean, I'm turning and circling in, right, giving the enemies time to maybe get in position, do whatever they're attempting to do here, assuming that they're actually going to be coming this way. And you can see, Never Forgotten's waiting there. We've got Migbait and his Oba waiting as well. We're all just waiting for this enemy ship to pop up, whatever it is, for us to take shots off. Now, obviously, at this point, we are discussing it, and we realize, yeah, this has to be a destroyer because we can't see him, don't know where he is, and I'm spotted anyway. I mean, I'm no longer spotted, but it's only because I'm going behind this little island here. That's the only reason why I'm not spotted as of yet. You might be thinking, good time to pop the old acoustic sonar, but I only get 2 charges of that, I believe, and I really, 2 or 3 maybe, I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, I really want to save those for later when it's much more desperate of a situation. This situation, not so much, right? There's lots of room to maneuver around, and yeah, we can see our suspicions are confirmed. It was in fact a destroyer because torpedoes are incoming. Lots of time to maneuver away from them. Doesn't matter though, they ran out of fuel. And then we've got this enemy Pensacola who's coming around. So I start putting shots into him, but it's at this time as well that as a group we've decided there weren't a lot of enemies over here, so we are just going to go into the center now, and that's where we're sailing towards right now. As we're doing that, though, obviously taking shots off the Pensacola because he's within my range. So I'm firing high explosive off at him. This was coordinated amongst all of us, actually. We wanted to set him on fire, myself and Never Forgotten, and then we've got Migbait with his armor piercing, and it was, I believe, Migbait who did all that damage to the Pensacola there with his armor piercing. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Now he's almost dead, just a few more shots and he should be gone, but just can't finish him off, right? Torpedoes incoming. So this is where I was like, oh god, Thotgor, it's all over now, you screwed it all up, way to go. And then, oh man, yeah, just barely avoided that one. But I made it, and as a group we are now pushing into the center. So some enemy destroyer, or an enemy destroyer pops up, so okay, alright. We'll put some shots into him if we can. We do have to be aware of enemy battleships back there in the background, right? Don't necessarily want to take hits from those guys. In Nuremberg, after all, very, very little armor here. So putting shots into the enemy destroyer in the distance there, get a few hits on him, a bit of criticals. Took out, I think it was a turret, maybe some torpedoes, so that's not too bad at all. And there goes his steering, so that's excellent as well. And then finally, he's gone. Never Forgotten manages to take him out and get the kill, so that's fantastic. Enemy destroyer now pops up behind that one, so there were two the whole time, yeah. So now we have to start putting shots into this guy, although this enemy destroyer was a little more sneaky, right? He didn't, you can see he immediately starts boating away and avoiding the shots. He wasn't necessarily trying to stick around and get some torpedoes off at us. He was more concerned with just getting the hell out of there. Enemy battleship in the background, it's a Nagato, so I put a few, or rather one salvo into him just because I can. And I'm turning here with Never Forgotten now, right? I'm trying to stay with the group. And MiGbait's turning in with us as well, and we're more or less going to go to the south at this time and regroup at our base, because you'll notice the enemy is putting a bit of pressure there on our base. So I want, or rather we as a group wanted to be able to be in a position to not only defend our base, but help support the allies we have down here. Dealing with the enemy ships. So that's where we're cruising off to now. Again, I mean, in the meantime, right, while you're sailing over there, doesn't mean you can't get shots off at targets of opportunity. And that's something, you want to be aware of as well. I don't know if it's a problem in divisions, but I could see maybe somehow. What I'm getting at is, you're in a division and you're all focusing fire, and if, the division isn't shooting at that target that's within your range or whatever, you don't necessarily want to be shooting at it for whatever reason. No, just forget that, right? Take shots at targets of opportunity. If the division is calling targets and they're saying, folks fire on this target, well then yeah, obviously shoot at that target within your range to do so. But if they're not calling out targets and they're targets within range, go right ahead and fire at those targets. And that's exactly what I'm doing, and exactly what MiGbait is doing, and Never Forgotten. MiGbait, unfortunately, he didn't cut in hard enough, right? So he got faced off with this island. Now he is closest to the Nagato and some enemy cruisers coming around the little island over there, so he's becoming their center of attention. It's unfortunate for him. Myself and Never Forgotten, though, continue our push into our base. You can see that there are a number of enemy ships moving in on our base here and really attempting to contest it. So we really have to get in here and do what we can. Take a few lucky shots there. I was really surprised. I was actually cringing while those were coming in. I knew they were coming and I was trying to turn, but I mean, it was just nothing I could do. But I didn't take that much damage, so that's pretty good. Now, we've got an enemy destroyer on its way in, so I'm going to start lining up torpedoes immediately. 6-kilometer range on these torpedoes, so I'm not concerned about my allies and torping them. The torpedoes will run out by then. It's a Russian destroyer as well, so immediately start putting shots into them. And I know that when the shots land, they are going to do some critical damage, and took out his steering there. Now, most likely repaired it, but it doesn't matter, because in the next shot, take out his steering once again. Get a few final shots into him, and my teammates finish that guy off. So that was also fantastic. Now, I still have torpedoes on the starboard side of the ship, right? And we're getting in close here to some enemies, and I know that Never Forgotten is close as well, and he's dueling it off with this enemy battleship here. And I want to get myself into a position to help support and do as much damage to this enemy battleship as possible to get him gone. So immediately I'm lining up starboard torpedo tubes. So get those torpedoes off and just start pounding away at the Warspite here. Now the Warspite, I don't have one, but obviously I've seen it in battle many a times, and it is a beast of a ship, really. I mean, the only thing that saved me there was the fact that I got torpedoes off on it, so I get the kill, get the devastating strike, and managed to save Never Forgotten, so that's not too bad at all. But now I'm kind of out of position in terms of the division, right? We can see MiGbait, unfortunately, at this time has died, and I'm looking back and I can see that our base is relatively secure. And I'm asking Never Forgotten, like, do you want me to turn back and, help support down there? Or I could just head off to the enemy base. And yeah, no, he's got things under control down there. There's no need for me to go down there, just be overkill at this point in time. let's go to the enemy base, right? And that's what I'm going to start positioning myself to do here, while using the cover here of the islands, right? Don't want to take chances with this enemy Nagato. If he starts focusing on me, I could die really, really quick. Luckily, I have allied battleships off in the distance that the Nagato is more concerned about, rightfully so. So he's putting shots into them. So he doesn't actually see this little maneuver of mine that I'm making. Yeah, this is a fancy maneuver. Little bit of an island issue. Oh, damn it, I hate that too. And I think I'm going to clear it, right? Like there's space in between myself and the actual land. But it's the shallowness of the water, I guess. I'm bottoming out, so whatever. Anyway, we do know that there are 3 enemy destroyers remaining, right? And we know roughly where they are. We know that there is still one down by our base. There are still some enemy ships down there. One of them is a destroyer. There's also one enemy destroyer by the by their base, right? And we just took out the other destroyers, so that's fantastic. So, and I'm looking at the ships as well that are on their way to the enemy base, and it's a lot of battleships, and they don't really have a lot of cruiser support with them. So, okay, that gives my whole, reason for going to the enemy base an actual purpose. Right now I can screen some battleships while I'm doing that. In the meantime, my allied battleships, we managed to take out the enemy Nagato. Unfortunately, as you just saw there, we did lose one of our battleships in the process. It was a Warspite though, so gladly trade a tier 6 for a tier 7. That's not an issue at all. And in fact, other than the destroyer that's at the enemy base now, that was really the last bit of enemy resistance up here in the north. All of the other ships, the remaining enemy destroyer, and I think it's a cruiser, is down there in the south. And you can see Never Forgotten is still down there dealing with those guys, and myself, I'm getting in position up here with the battleships to start capping the base and to screen the battleships. Now I am detected. So this destroyer is somewhere, and you'll notice that I'm detected basically the whole time that I'm up here in the north. So I know that the enemy destroyer is close, nearby, right? And I'm holding off on the acoustic ability until I actually see a torpedo, or until I see him pop up. Because once I see him pop up or see a torpedo, then I know a general direction as to where the player is, and I can use my sonar ability hopefully to track that person down. So that is my thinking around that, and that's why I'm holding it in reserve. I only have 1 charge left, so I'm holding it off. I do still have a scout plane. Hindsight, launching the scout plane right now actually would have been a good idea, but I don't actually do it. I think it comes maybe later on, who knows. But would have been something to do and something to consider, right? Especially given that I'm still detected. So we know, again, destroyers around here. Good call though to come up here with the battleships, because at the very least now the enemy destroyer just doesn't have free reign on these battleships, able to get in here and launch some torpedoes off at them. So, excellent call to be up here in a cruiser and just support the battleships, right? Act as their screen. You'll notice that our base is now being capped. Never Forgotten and some of our allies left our base to chase down the enemy cruiser. They've killed the cruiser, and they are now on their way back to our base to take out that last enemy destroyer. In the meantime, I'm up here with my battleships. I've got a Tirpitz and a Fuso, like I say, screening these guys against the destroyer. Still am detected. And I had no idea where this destroyer was. I fully expected him to be, or well, he or she, the player I should say, to be in the northwest corner of the map, and that's sort of where I'm positioning myself right now. You'll notice that I'm trying to get in behind these 2 battleships to put myself in between the battleships and where I think the enemy destroyer is, because I want the enemy destroyer to target me and not the battleships, because I have much better chances of avoiding the torpedoes than my friendly battleships do, just because, bigger ships and all. So that's the general plan. That's what's taking place right now. To my surprise, the enemy destroyer never actually pops up. No. My allies down there in the south, they managed to kill the enemy destroyer that was capping our base, so fantastic. There's only the 1 enemy destroyer remaining, and the player never shows where they actually are. Never actually takes any shots off at us either in terms of torpedoes, or if they did, I just didn't see them because, well, they never actually were spotted by any one of my ships around, so obviously they weren't very effective. But battle is more basically over now. You can see we have capped out the base, and that was a great game. You can see the benefits, right, of working together in your group, especially when there's 3 cruisers like that. You're very flexible, right? Quickly able to move from one side of the map to the other, support each other along the way, and then at critical moments able to split off and support where need be. You can see overall results, right? Fairly good. I mean, almost everyone on the team, or maybe over half the team, got over 1,000 base experience earned, so that is fantastic. And I mean, myself, I walk away with experience and credits, which is always nice, because I need credits right now. I need them so bad. Anyway, next clip we're looking at here is a clip I played, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, and it's in the Miyoko, right? So I had, no, it was yesterday, yeah, because I was hungover on January 1st. That's right. So, I'd logged in, right, and they've got the whole blue steel missions going right now for that stuff. Now, I'm not interested in actually putting that stuff on my ship, so if anyone is an anime fan out there and they're hoping that I would start showing it off on the channel, it's not going to happen. You know, no disrespect to those people, obviously, it's just not my thing, right? But that being said, doesn't mean I can't do these missions to get the rewards. I mean, there are some nice flags, there's a bunch of credits, so I saw it, and, you know, that they're in the Miyoko here, and I wanted to take out the Miyoko not only to get money, but, you know, I love the ship as well, and just see what we can do, and just see sort of how the progression on these missions are going to go. And you have a bit of time to get this stuff done too, I understand. I think it's somewhere into February you have until to get this stuff done, so lots of time to do it. Anyway, into the battle. We are on Twin Brothers, and you can see that I'm going to go to the east side of the map. I figured this was where I would most be needed to support. I honestly assumed that I would be on the defense over here, given that the majority of the heavy ships and the majority of our ships are going to actually go to the west side. So that's sort of you know, why I assumed this was going to be defense for me, and I feel, you know, confident in doing that. I do it all the time in the old Miyoko here. To my surprise, it doesn't turn out that way, so we'll watch it unfold. Now, first take a look at the ships that I have with me, right? I've got 2 destroyers, there's myself, there is there's an allied cruiser with me, and there is an allied battleship that's going to be coming along as well. I believe that is everyone. So that's pretty good, right? You know, there's not many of us, but the ships we have are fairly effective. So an enemy York pops up, alright. Now, I had high explosive loaded, and I was kicking myself for that, because this was a great shot in on the York, and if I would have had armor piercing loaded right at the beginning, would have did a whole bunch more damage. But 4,500 I think is what it was, so that was, you know, not too bad. It was our high explosive. Now that, you know, shooting into the island, that was just me being angry because I didn't have the armor piercing loaded. Now, loading armor piercing now, but I do have high explosive queued up because there are some destroyers around here as well. I mean, more enemy ships are popping up, right? So there's the York, there's enemy destroyer, there was an Atlanta we saw, there's an enemy battleship in the background right now as well. So okay, alright, things are going to get a little real over here. We're going to need to do a bit of fancy maneuvering, get shots off where and when we can. So now I'm loading up high explosive because I want this destroyer gone. He's hidden in his smoke, and I'm holding off on firing at him because I really want him to pop up, so I'm not just taking speculative shots. And it's getting close here, right? There we go, pops up, get some shots into him, but he burns to death before the shots actually get there. But whatever, he's gone. Excellent. Loading high explosive now, but, you know, queuing up the armor piercing because we do have some cruisers off here in the distance that I want to take out, specifically the Atlanta. And remember, I mean, there's still the York lurking around here as well. So I'm still in the mindset here of playing the defense, right? Looking at where how my team is dispersed, and then suddenly I realize a lot of my team are actually coming over here to the east. There's a lot of them. So okay, alright, I mean, we're going to need to be a lot more aggressive here. This isn't going to be a defensive action at all. This is quickly turning into offense. And you'll even notice I've got an allied ship pushing up the center of the channel, so okay, that guy's a little crazy, but alright. We'll see. Now, I had to slow down because I didn't want to run into one of my allies. So that's why I slowed down there, but it really helped me out. I mean, I avoided taking some shots, and I get these nice broadsides on this Mogami. So I put some shells into him, armor piercing, got 2 citadels on him, so that wasn't too bad at all, and still getting more shots into him, right? There's another citadel doing more damage. This guy is just cursing now, you can tell. But the enemy battleship is also coming into play here as well, so not willing to take too many chances with that guy. Probably going to destroy me, so I'm quickly going to get in back behind this island here and start using it as cover, break line of sight with the battleship, and hopefully the battleship won't be targeting me anytime soon. While I'm doing that, still assessing things, right? You can see the ships that we had coming over here to the east, some of them are now turning around, figuring out that, hey, it's probably not a good idea for us all to go east. This can actually be very tragic in your battle, because, you know, at this point, people are realizing that they're not positioned properly, and now they're trying to get into position as quick as they possibly can, so, you know, it might boil down to one ship trickling in at a time for the enemy to kill, and that's always tragic. Anyway, pushing up with the allied ships that I have here, we still have my 2 destroyers. I've got a Nagato next to me. There's the Mogami that I was taking shots off at earlier, so he's within my range, so obviously I'm going to start putting armor piercing into this guy, see if we can't get him gone, or at least get a few more citadels on him. There's another citadel, so fantastic, leaving the Mogami with barely any health at all, so immediately I want to try and finish this guy off, just get him gone, right? He can still do the same amount of damage even though he has barely any hit points remaining. There we go, final salvo goes in and the Mogami's gone, and that's a kill for me, so fantastic. Excellent. Now we have the enemy battleship over here, so yeah, again, want to try and play it safe with this guy, and keeping in mind there is the enemy cruiser over here, right? We can see my friendly Atlanta is here as well, so we've got a good little group of ships. 2 destroyers, 2 cruisers and a battleship, and I think there's another ship over there as well on the extreme east, allied ship helping us out, so that's fantastic. The enemy in the meantime has completely pushed down the west side, and they're putting a lot of pressure on our base now. Surprisingly, the ship that went up the channel is still alive. Yes, he's still in the channel doing whatever the hell it is he's doing over there. And my ships over here, a little attack group over here, is now coming around the islands here, the middle islands and Two Brothers, and pushing into the enemy base, which is fantastic, right? We're really putting a lot of pressure on the enemies, and the enemies who are putting pressure on our base now have a choice to make. You know, are they going to come back and try to defend their base, or are they going to continue the push and try and take ours? Most of those enemies are going to continue the push. You can see that they are now, or rather they were, contesting our base. Coming around the island, we've got the Atlanta here, so immediately start putting armor piercing into him, but the Atlanta captain isn't that dumb, right? Notices what's going on, turns and angles a ship, so I'm not able to get actually any citadels on him, but oh well. Doesn't matter, he's turning and exposing a broadside now, so I may as well get some citadels on him or shots into him now. I fired off torpedoes as well, just in case. You never know, he might hit one of those. He was fairly close. Give both a nice wide spread, because I'm only going to need 1 hit to take this guy out. So there goes another shot of, I think that is actually high explosive that I'm switching between. Yeah, it is high explosive. Because I expected the Atlanta to be gone, and then I was going to switch over to the battleship that's still alive. Yeah, that was the plan. Anyway, armor piercing is now loaded up, and I've got a good broadside. So there goes that salvo, and lands and blam. Yeah, take him out. Get a citadel hit, fantastic. Armor piercing still loaded up, and this battleship is on really low health, so I figure, you know, what the hell, we'll see what the armor piercing is going to do here. It still does decent damage to battleships, to be quite frank with you. You can just spam your armor piercing and whittle down battleships really effectively. My biggest reason for not doing it all that often is just because I'm not going to get the benefits of setting fires, right, and doing critical damage, and that's sort of really what I want when I'm in a cruiser and I'm coming up against a battleship, as I want to do that damage over time, because ideally, you know, I'm not going to be able to just sit there and slug it out with that battleship. That usually just doesn't work. We are now capping the enemy base, so that's fantastic. I'm going to help push in here and help my allies start capping it. You'll notice, though, that the enemies are all, you know, still contesting our base down there, and we don't have too good of a defense right now down there, because there are quite a few enemy ships moving in. So we are trying to get into the enemy base and cap it out, obviously, before they can cap ours. So at this point in time, it's not a matter of denying the enemy from capping our base. It's just a matter of making sure that we are going to cap first before they do. That's the biggest thing. The Nagato, point him out, there he is there. He gets an incredible kill here coming up shortly. What he does, obviously, is launch a scout plane and shoot over the channel and end up taking out an enemy ship. It was really, really good shot here as well. It's going to come up shortly. In fact, it may just be coming up now. Yeah, shots look to be going out. Those might have actually hit... no, yeah, there we go. Takes out the cruiser. Yeah, that was a really nice shot by that guy. I'm in the base now, right, capping it out with my allies here, but I'm also going to try to get into a position to defend the channel in case an enemy decides to do a suicide run up here and just reset the cap points a bit. But also maybe to take a few pot shots if I can. Turns out I can't. Just doesn't work out. And we are capping really quickly here as well. I mean, we've got a lot of ships in here, so battle is, more or less over at this time. Just waiting for those last few points, and there they are. So fantastic. And yeah, I really liked that battle just because it was so great. To expect the defense, go on the offense, and just basically push up the entire side and destroy everything along the way with my allies. Not too shabby at all. You can see progression towards some of those blue steel missions and whatnot. Like I say, they are giving some good rewards, so I don't see any reason why not to do the missions. And then again, I have the option of just turning off all that stuff, not having to see it, which is great. So I get all the credits and money for it, and I don't actually have to see it, so I'm pretty pleased with it.
How are you?
Overall, top of the team, so that's fantastic. Did a bit of damage, but it was a fairly quick battle, so you really couldn't rack up too much damage here. But basically, at the end of the day, over 200,000 credits. That is what I am most concerned with, because I really need money. I bought the Admiral Hipper last hull upgrade, 2.9 million. Played a bunch of tier 9 battles last night. Did really crappy, and I think I'm down to like 285,000. So that kind of sucks. But anyway, that's today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Hopefully you're able to take something away from it, just in terms of team dynamics, working with divisions and whatnot. As always, leave any comments you have for me in the comment section below. Love reading those comments and getting back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video, and hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber. As always, folks, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.